Hi, I'm George Crump, lead analyst with StorageSwiss. The all-flash data center. It's something that a lot of IT professionals would love to have, but unfortunately it's something that very few can afford. Let's talk about some ways that you might be able to make it more affordable. Here's the basic problem facing the all-flash decision. First, I've got it drawn up here, a few servers and a hard disk drive based system. Let's say I went out and bought a flash array. Now the good news is these flash arrays have really good data efficiency technologies like deduplication and compression. So I do get better bang for the buck on a capacity standpoint here, but I still have an awful lot of hard drive capacity. Now, if you think about it, most of the data that's on these systems is not really appropriate for flash storage. It hasn't been accessed in a long time, or it's being accessed by something that's so slow it just doesn't matter. And so it really makes sense to kind of differentiate between the different types of data. So if you look at the data that's here, typically what we would say, just at an easy slice, somewhere between 80 to 90% of this data hasn't been accessed in so long it just doesn't matter, right? Or it's being accessed by something that's so slow, the speed of flash or something like that really doesn't matter. So really the only part of the data center that we really need to be all flash is right here. And if we can move that down and lower the cost of this substantially, that really becomes pretty compelling. Now the challenge though is, what do we do with this remaining 80 to 90%? We could clearly leave it there, but that really doesn't solve our problem. Now I still got to back it up and protect it. I've got to power it. I've got to cool it. There's a lot of different variables I still have to manage there. Well, there's an interesting option that we'd like to talk to you about today, and that is the cloud. Right? The cloud gives us, on a monthly basis or some sort of periodic basis, the ability to move data into that area's storage and not have to worry about it anymore. The power cooling responsibilities, the data protection responsibilities really become the responsibility of that provider for us. Now the question though is, how do I get that data into the cloud, and then how do I make it transparent to get it back out of the cloud? Well, there's solutions available from companies like Avere Systems that essentially give you a hybrid appliance. And so what we end up with is what looks like an all-flash array here, but with a back end that's connected to the cloud. And so what happens is my working set, that 10%, that 10 to 20%, is now available on flash, and then the remaining percentage goes out into the cloud. If any of these, for 99.9% of the time, all the work that's being done on these servers, it's coming right off of flash. They see incredibly quick performance. They don't have to worry about it. If they ever need data that's old, they access it through the cloud. Clearly there's some latency there, but it's generally mitigated because it's only a small file access, things like that, and it doesn't happen that often. The other important thing is, now think of what just happened to my data center. Instead of having a flash array and still this huge pile of disks, now all I have is just memory in my data center. So my cost to power, cool, things like that just went down substantially. And then now I have the power of the cloud out here to be able to manage things like data protection, making multiple copies, doing replication between multiple data center sites, things like that. So the ability to do this and do so transparently is very, very powerful. So the other thing this gives us is a capability that we call a global namespace, and that allows us to move things around without having to update information back at these servers. So for example, I could have a data set that's on flash here and then move it as one big chunk right into the cloud when I was done to it. Or if I knew that I was going to be needing it maybe the next day or for a billing cycle or something like that, I could do the opposite. I could take that chunk and pull it back so that when I want to start working on it, it was already available on my flash appliance here. So this is a really interesting way to go all flash, because the problem with many of the other solutions is I'm not really solving the data center problem. I'm still growing my disk farm, and really in a way I'm kind of making it worse because now I also have a flash array in there as well. Here I have a flash-based system that's automatically moving data in and out of the cloud for me. So it gives me a lot of capabilities. And then finally, just as a quick point, is then if I have my data in the cloud, I could also, if I wanted to, operate on it in the cloud too, and then leverage cloud compute up here too. So again, it gives me a lot of flexibility as I move back and forth, but really brings down the footprint and cost of going all flash in your data center today. I'm George Crump, lead analyst for Storage Switzerland. Thank you for joining us.